the spotlight's heat pressed against my skin like a hesitant hand during that first rehearsal glance. I wasn't supposed to be here, squeezed into a sequined dress that clung in unfamiliar ways. Volunteering only because my friend begged for one more body in her charity drag show at the local community center. One night like this could unearth something buried, stir feelings I'd ignored. Or maybe it would all dissolve into a harmless joke, forgotten by morning. My chest fluttered with unease, a curious pull I couldn't name. But I nodded anyway, agreeing to the makeup and the heels, stepping toward whatever waited under those lights. It started with a phone call on a rainy Tuesday evening, the kind where the drops pattered against my window like insistent fingers. I was curled on the couch, nursing a mug of tea that had gone lukewarm, when my phone buzzed with Kayla's name flashing on the screen. Kayla, my college roommate turned lifelong friend, the one who always dragged me into her wild ideas. I picked up, expecting her usual chatter about work drama or weekend plans. "Hey, it's me," she said, her voice bright but edged with urgency. "I need a huge favor. The community center's charity drag show is short one performer. It's for the youth shelter, raising funds for kids who need a safe place. You in?" I laughed, short and disbelieving, setting the mug down on the coffee table. The idea hit like a splash of cold water. Me, on stage in drag? I'd seen the shows before, glittering and bold, but always from the audience, nursing a drink and clapping politely. "Kayla, no way. Crowds aren't my thing. I get tongue-tied just ordering coffee sometimes." She didn't miss a beat. "Come on, it's not a full production. Just lip-sync one song, strut a bit. Remember sophomore year when we snuck into that karaoke bar and you belted out that Whitney Houston number? You owned it. This is low commitment. One night and you're a hero for the cause." I shifted on the couch, the fabric of my sweatpants bunching under me. Shared history tugged at me. Kayla had been there through my awkward phases, the breakups, the job hunts. But this felt different, a line I hadn't considered crossing. Curiosity flickered, though. What would it be like to slip into that world, even briefly? The costumes, the transformation. Yet fear coiled tighter. What if someone recognized me? The neighbors, old acquaintances from the center's book club, judgment in their stares, whispers trailing me home. "It's just makeup and a wig," she pressed, her tone softening to that conspiratorial lilt she used when she knew she had me. "No one's judging. It's charity. And honestly, you'd rock it. You've got the build, slender, graceful when you want to be. Please, for the kids?" I paced to the window, watching rain streak the glass. My reflection stared back, plain in an old t-shirt, hair tousled from the day. Imagining an escape. Show up, perform, change in the bathroom, slip out before the after-party. Easy. But deeper, that flutter in my chest returned, mixing unease with a spark of something unnamed. What if it felt right? No, it was just a favor. A joke. "Fine," I said finally, the words slipping out before I could pull it back. "But if I hate it, I'm out after rehearsal." She whooped, the sound echoing through the line. "You're the best. I'll text you the details. Borrowed stuff incoming. Heels, dress, the works." The call ended, and I sank back onto the couch, heart thudding unevenly. Days blurred into preparation texts from Kayla, song choices, basic moves. I practiced in my apartment mirror, awkward gestures that made me cringe. The heels arrived in a box, black and strappy, clacking against the passenger seat as I drove to the center that first rehearsal night. My stomach turned to static, a low hum of nerves. The community center loomed ahead, lights warm against the dusk, volunteers milling outside. I parked, gripping the wheel a moment longer. This was temporary. Just one night. But as I stepped out, the air felt thicker, laced with possibility I wasn't ready to name. The community center's parking lot was a patchwork of puddles, reflecting the string lights strung along the entrance. I grabbed the heels from the passenger seat, their straps cool against my palm, and hurried inside, dodging a group of volunteers unloading boxes of props. The lobby buzzed with energy, excited chatter from younger folks in casual jeans, a few skeptical locals lingering near the snack table, their arms crossed as they eyed the rainbow banners. Kayla spotted me immediately, waving from the hallway that led backstage. "There you are! Come on, the dressing room's this way." She led me through a side door into a cramped space that smelled of hairspray and old wood floors. Mirrors lined one wall, bulbs flickering overhead like hesitant stars. A handful of performers milled about, a tall guy adjusting a feathered boa, a woman with bold eyeliner testing a mic. The air felt charged, a mix of laughter and low murmurs. I set the heels down, my hands suddenly clammy. This was real now. No more abstract planning. Kayla pulled out a folding chair for me. "Sit. We'll start with makeup. It's easier than you think." She rummaged in a makeup kit, pulling out a bottle of foundation. The liquid was cool as she dotted it onto my skin, blending it with a sponge that moved in soft circles. It smoothed over my cheeks, my jaw, erasing the faint stubble shadow I'd fretted over. My face emerged softer, the edges blurred, like looking through a gentle filter. Next came the eyeliner, a thin black line she drew with steady hands, sharpening my gaze in the mirror. It pulled everything upward, made my eyes hold more weight, more intent. I blinked, feeling the tug of it. Then the lipstick, a deep berry shade that stained my lips bold, the waxy taste lingering as I pressed them together. It felt foreign, this layer between me and the world, but not entirely wrong. My throat tightened a little, watching the transformation unfold. "All right, close time," Kayla said, holding up the dress. A simple black number with sequins that caught the light. I stood in the corner, shielded by a flimsy curtain, peeling off my shirt and jeans. The stockings came first, sheer and whispering as I rolled them up my legs, the nylon hugging my calves, my thighs, in a way that sent a shiver across my skin. They felt light, almost weightless, changing how the air touched me. Then the dress. I stepped into it, the fabric sliding over my hips, clinging softly where it met my body. It settled around my waist, the hem brushing my knees, sequins cool against my arms. Zipping it up, I felt it pull taut across my chest, reshaping the lines I'd always known. My stomach turned to static again, that flutter mixing with a curious warmth. It wasn't just covering, it was revealing something. Kayla handed me the heels next. Practice walking. Small steps, weight forward. I slipped them on, the straps buckling around my ankles, and stood. The added height threw me off, stilted steps at first, wobbling like a newborn foal on the worn linoleum. My calves strained, but I focused on the rhythm. Heel, toe, sway. Bit by bit, it evolved, my hips finding a tentative sway that felt borrowed from somewhere deep. The dress moved with me, the fabric shifting in a way that echoed the motion. I paced the room, ignoring the glances from others, the mirror pulling my eyes back each time. Finally, the wig, a cascade of dark curls that Kayla pinned into place, framing my made-up face. I turned fully to the mirror and froze. The reflection stared back, foreign yet luminous, eyes sharper, lips curved in unfamiliar confidence. It stirred an unnamed pull in my chest. like a thread tugging at something buried. Who was this? Not a joke, not entirely. My hands trembled slightly at my sides. I didn't know what to do with that yet. As the curtain call neared for our test run, the air thickened with muffled applause from the small audience gathering out front. Kayla squeezed my shoulder. "You're ready. Let's go." The hallway to the stage felt endless, my heels clicking against the linoleum in a rhythm that echoed my pulse. Kayla pushed the curtain aside, and there it was, the makeshift stage, a wooden platform under dim lights that cast long shadows across the community center's multipurpose room. Folding chairs faced it, half filled with locals and volunteers, their faces a blur of expectation. My heart pounded against the sequins, each beat pressing the fabric closer, like it was holding me together. I swallowed, the lipstick's waxy residue sticking to my teeth. This was it. No turning back now. I stepped out, the spotlight hitting me like warm breath on my skin. It washed over the dress, making the sequins shimmer, pulling every eye in the room. A low murmur rippled through the audience, then applause. Tentative at first, building as Kayla announced me with a flourish. "Give it up for our newcomer!" My cue music started, a pulsing beat from an old pop diva track we'd chosen. I grabbed the mic stand, lips parting to mouth the words, body frozen for a split second. Small steps, I reminded myself. Sway. The routine began haltingly. I lip-synced the opening lines, gestures stiff at my sides, the heels anchoring me unevenly. The dress clung with each move, the hem brushing my thighs, reminding me of every unfamiliar curve it traced. But as the chorus hit, something loosened. My hips found the sway again, fluid this time, without the mirror's judgment. Arms rose, flowing without thought, a flick of the wrist, a tilt of the head that sent the wig's curls bouncing. The stockings whispered against my legs as I pivoted, the motion pulling me deeper into the beat. It felt borrowed at first, like imitating a video, but the spotlight warmed it, made it mine. My chest fluttered, not just nerves now, but a curious thrill threading through. The audience shifted. Cheers erupted from the front row, allies with painted faces clapping in time. A woman in the back leaned forward, smiling wide. But others stared awkwardly, brows furrowed, one older man crossing his arms before looking away. It blended into a roar, the sounds washing over me like the light. I caught a familiar face, my neighbor from the book club, her eyes widening, then softening into a nod. No whispers yet, just the music drowning everything. Midway through the bridge, the shift came. The words on my lips felt true, the gestures no longer forced. It was impossibly natural, this body moving under the dress, the makeup holding my expression steady. My old self dissolved in the spotlight, edges blurring until what remained was lighter, fluid. Who was I right now? The question hung, unanswered, as I hit the final pose, hip cocked, hand on the mic, breath steady. The song ended, and the room exploded. Applause thundered, feet stomping on the floor. I bowed, sequins catching the light one last time, adrenaline rushing hot through my veins. Backstage, performers swarmed with hugs and whispers. "You killed it," one said, her voice conspiratorial. "That's sway, natural talent." Kayla beamed, pulling me into a quick embrace, the fabric of her outfit brushing mine. But then an offhand joke from a volunteer nearby. "Not bad for a first-timer. Didn't know you had it in you. Literally." Laughter followed, light but sharp, clashing with the compliments. My smile held, but inside, the the thrill tangled with a quiet sting. Was it just a gag to them? We filtered back to the dressing room, the air cooling as the lights dimmed. I sat at the mirror, hands trembling as I reached for the makeup wipes. The foundation smeared first, revealing patches of my skin beneath, but the echo lingered. The sway, the roar, the way the dress had settled like it belonged. I couldn't wash it away, not fully. My fingers paused, staring at the half-erased reflection. What now? The dressing room felt smaller after the performance, the air heavy with the scent of sweat and fading perfume. I lingered there, perched on the edge of the folding chair, the sequined dress still clinging to my skin like a second layer I wasn't ready to shed. My fingers traced the hem absent-mindedly, the fabric cool now where it had warmed under the lights. Makeup wipes lay scattered on the table, half-used, but I hadn't touched my face again. The echo of the applause hummed in my ears, mixing with the sway I'd felt on stage, a motion that lingered in my hips, even sitting still. It was disorienting, this residue, like the dress had seeped into me somehow. Kayla burst in first, her face flushed from mingling outside. She wrapped me in a quick hug, her arms strong and reassuring, the cotton of her shirt soft against my shoulder. "You were incredible," she whispered, pulling back to search my eyes. "I mean it. That wasn't just beginner's luck. You lit up the room." Her words settled warm in my chest, easing the knot there, but I could only nod, my throat tight. The thrill from the spotlight hadn't faded. It pulsed quietly, making the plain walls feel too confining. We chatted lightly about the crowd's energy, her laughter pulling me back a little, but underneath, that unnamed pull tugged harder. What had I done up there? It wasn't just performing. It was becoming, briefly. The cleanup dragged, performers packing away wigs and heels with easy banter. I finally stood, the dress shifting with me, and made my way to the exit. Outside, the night air hit cool against my bare arms. I'd slipped on a jacket over the dress for the walk to my car, but the sequins peeked out at the collar. A few stragglers milled in the parking lot, chatting under the string lights. That's when I spotted her. Mrs. Ellis from the book club, the one who'd nodded during my song. She paused near her sedan, keys in hand, and our eyes met. Her smile faltered into something subtler, a quick glance up and down, then away, her lips pressing thin. No words, just that side eye, the kind that lingers like a question unspoken. Was it recognition? Disapproval? My stomach turned to static again, cheeks heating under the remnants of foundation. I hurried past, heels echoing too loudly on the pavement, the jacket suddenly too heavy. The drive home blurred the world outside. Streetlights streaked past in golden smears, the radio off, leaving only the hum of the engine and my thoughts replaying the night. The sway of my hips on stage, the way the audience's smiles had pulled at me, the fluid drop of my arms to the beat, it all looped, insistent. I gripped the wheel tighter, the leather warm under my palms, still faintly scented with the perfume Kayla had spritzed on me. At a red light, I caught my reflection in the rear view. Eyeliner smudged but holding, lips stained berry dark. It looked possible, not erased. The light turned green and I pressed the gas, the dress's hem riding up slightly against my thighs. Home loomed ahead, a quiet apartment where none of this had to follow me. But it did, trailing like the headlights in the mirror. By the time I pulled into my spot, exhaustion tugged, but sleep wouldn't come easy. I kicked off the heels in the entryway, their straps leaving faint indents on my ankles, and padded to the bedroom. The dress came off last, pooling on the floor in a shimmer of black. I stared at it a moment, fingers hovering, before hanging it carefully in the closet. Under the covers, the sheets felt rough against my skin. Stripped bare now, the absence of the fabric stark. My mind wouldn't quiet. The roar of cheers, the awkward stare from Mrs. Ellis, Kayla's hug anchoring it all. My phone buzzed. Late, past midnight, pulling me from half dreams. An unknown number, but the text preview read, "Hey, it's Mia from the show. That thrill tonight hit me the first time too. Call if you want to talk." I hesitated, then dialed, the line clicking open to her soft voice. She shared her story in fragments, her own first drag gig years back, the rush that wouldn't fade, how it eased the isolation of wandering alone. "It's not always big," she said, her words measured, like sharing a secret. "Sometimes it's just a sway that sticks." We talked for an hour, her empathy braiding with my scattered thoughts, lightening the weight in my chest. It wasn't judgment, it was echo, someone who'd felt the same pull. The next week brought a follow-up event at the center, a casual mixer to tally donations, coffee and cookies in the lobby. I went, dressed plain in jeans and a hoodie, but the air carried memories of sequins. Volunteers greeted me warmly, Kayla waving from the snack table, but not everyone did. A board member, older with a neat beard, clapped my shoulder as I poured coffee. "Good show last week," he said, then paused, his tone shifting sly. "Though I bet you're glad it's over. Back to normal now, right?" The words landed subtle, a microaggression wrapped in camaraderie, implying the drag was a phase, the detour. My smile tightened, heat rising, but before I could respond, Lena, an ally from the front row, her face kind and lined, stepped in. She touched my arm lightly, voice quiet but firm. "It was more than good. You brought something real to it. Don't let anyone dim that." Her affirmation hung there, simple, cutting through the sting like cool air on flushed skin. I left the mixer early, the drive home quieter this time. But the contrasts lingered. Support weaving with the side eyes, the thrill braided with unease. Alone in my bedroom that night, I kicked off my sneakers, the closet door ajar. The heels sat inside, black and waiting, and an urge flickered. To slip the dress back on, just for a moment, to feel that fluid settle again. It persisted, unnamed, pulling me towards something I couldn't ignore. The bedroom lamp cast a dim glow, pooling yellow light on the closet door like spilled honey. I stood there after the mixer, the air still carrying a faint trace of coffee from the center. My fingers reached out, tracing the hem of the dress hanging inside, the sequins cool and unyielding under my touch. It dangled limp now, no longer alive with stage motion, but the memory clung. The way it had settled around my hips, fluid and insistent. I pulled back, hand lingering in the air, as if the fabric might whisper back. The room felt too still, my reflection in the closet mirror half-shadowed, eyes hollow from the week's weight. What was this pull? Not just the show. It rooted deeper, stirring sediment I'd let settle. Sleep evaded me that night, the sheets twisting around my legs like unanswered questions. I lay staring at the ceiling cracks, replaying fragments. The spotlight's warmth dissolving edges, the audience's roar blending with my sway. Dreams came in fits, me on stage, but the routine bled into morning coffee runs, heels clicking on kitchen tile amid the heaviness of my usual routine. I'd wake sweating, heart thudding, the phantom brush of stockings against skin. Days blurred at work, spreadsheets blurring under fluorescent lights, my chair creaking as I shifted, old slacks chafing where the dress had whispered. The normalcy pressed heavier now, a shapeless weight, while the stage's lightness echoed, uninvited. My throat tightened during lunch breaks, fork pausing midair, mind drifting to the berry stain on my lips, now faded but not gone. One evening, alone with the apartment's quiet hum, I gave in to the urge. The makeup kit Kayla had left sat on the bathroom counter, untouched since rehearsal. I sat before the sink mirror, the bulb harsh overhead, and unscrewed the foundation. It dotted cool on my skin again, blending unevenly this time. My hands shook, smudging across my jaw. Eyeliner followed, a crooked line sharpening one eye more than the other, but in the glass it held a raw pull. No wig, no dress yet, just this layer, peeling back the plain face I'd worn for years. I stood, testing steps and socks, hips swaying freer without eyes on me, the motion natural, unjudged. It felt foreign and impossibly natural, my reflection fracturing in the steam-fogged mirror. A nervous flutter sparked in my chest, curious, not quite fear. I wiped it off hastily, water cold on my cheeks, but the freedom lingered, craving more. The next day, I called Kayla, phone pressed to my ear as I paced the living room, sunlight slanting through blinds. That show, I started, voice hesitant, words catching like threads. It's stuck with me. Not just the performance, the feeling. Like, what if there's more to it? Deeper curiosity, you know? Silence stretched, then her breath softened. "I've been waiting for you to say something," she replied, empathy threading her tone, warm like the hug backstage. That sway, the way you lit up, it wasn't pretend. If it's pulling you, explore it. No rush, but don't bury it either. I'm here, whatever it means. Her words eased the knot, braiding support into my unraveling thoughts. We talked longer, her stories of others' quiet shifts mirroring my own, lightening the isolation. But unease grew, a quiet storm. Mornings my old clothes chafed, shirt collars too stiff, pants heavy where silk had flowed. New sensations craved repetition. The slide of nylon, the bold tug of liner, the sway that straightened my spine. Work days dragged, colleagues chattered distant, my mind tracing hemlines in the air. It wasn't enough to remember. The body wanted to feel it again, fluid against the routine's drag. Nights I'd hover at the closet, fingers itching, the dress a silent invitation. Time thinned after that call. I decided to revisit the center, not for crowds, but a quiet space, private trial away from stares. The air would feel warmer there, fragments aligning in the empty room. The community center's door creaked open under my hand, the familiar scent of polished wood and faint coffee greeting me like an old acquaintance. It had been 2 weeks since the mixer, and I'd chosen a quiet Thursday evening for this casual event, a low-key gathering for volunteers to sort donations, no spotlights or crowds. Under my jacket, I'd layered a subtle feminine touch, a soft blouse tucked into slim pants, the collar brushing my neck in a way that felt deliberate, not hidden. No full makeup, just a hint of liner to sharpen my gaze, and low flats that let me move without the old wobble. My heart thudded as I stepped inside, the lobby humming with a dozen people unpacking boxes, laughter punctuating the rustle of paper. This wasn't the stage. It was safer ground, but the pull to return tugged all the same, fragments of that night still aligning in my chest. Kayla spotted me first, her face lighting up as she wove through the tables. "You came back," she said, voice warm, pulling me into a quick side hug that pressed the blouse's fabric closer. The core group clustered around her, performers from the show, their welcomes easy, conspiratorial. Mia from the late-night call waved from a corner, her nod affirming, like we'd shared more than words. "Glad you're here," she murmured, handing me a box of canned goods, their energy wrapped around me, light and unjudged, easing the static in my stomach. We sorted side by side, chatter flowing about the shelter's latest needs, my hands steady on the labels. But from the periphery, hesitant questions drifted. A new volunteer, mid-40s with a clipboard, paused near us, eyes flicking to my outfit. "So, you're the one from the drag night? That was bold. You doing it again?" Her tone hovered, curious but edged, probing without committing. I met her gaze, the liner holding my expression steady. Maybe. It opened something. She nodded, uncertain, and moved on, leaving a ripple of warmth mixed with that subtle distance. As the evening deepened, the group shifted to a shared story circle in the back room, folding chairs in a loose ring, dim lamps casting soft pools of light. Kayla started it, her voice measured. "These nights aren't just about boxes. They're about why we show up." Stories unfolded then, vulnerability braiding through the air like threads pulling taut. One performer, Alex, spoke of his first gig, the terror of the wig slipping mid-song, how it cracked open a door to his trans journey, step by hesitant step. Another shared the isolation before finding this space, the way a single compliment had steadied her sway. I listened, throat tightening, their words echoing my own unraveling. The dresses cling, the spotlights dissolve. When my turn came, I hesitated, fingers twisting in my lap. The show, it wasn't just fun. It felt like seeing a clearer reflection, still figuring the edges. Nods rippled around the circle, Mia's hand brushing mine briefly. No pressure, just the quiet braid of shared pulls, lightening the weight I'd carried alone. It felt like exhaling, fragments slotting into place. Later, as boxes emptied, a volunteer named Jordan, tall with a gentle lilt, offered a movement lesson in the empty multipurpose room. "Heels aren't just walking, they're flow," she said, pulling a pair from her bag, simple black pumps that matched my flats. I slipped them on, the buckle cool against my ankle, and stood, the added height familiar now, less foreign. "Weight forward, hips loose," she guided, demonstrating a sway that clicked across the floor. I followed, steps tentative at first, the click echoing off the walls. Heel, toe, pivot. Bit by bit, confidence built. My body remembered the stage's rhythm, hips finding that fluid arc without force. The blouse shifted with me, soft against my skin, the pants hugging in a way that amplified the motion. No audience, just the room's quiet approval, my reflection in the far window luminous under the overheads. It wasn't stilted anymore. It flowed, pulling a quiet thrill up my spine. Jordan stopped, smiling without irony. "Your poise, it's natural, like you've always had it." The compliment landed light, easing the flutter in my chest. A small victory that warmed like sunlight breaking clouds. No joke, no side-eye, just truth. Affirming the shift I'd chased alone. The evening wound down and I stepped out into the cooling air, the center's lights fading behind me. The walk home stretched under street lamps, my steps steady in the flats, the air warmer somehow, laced with alignment. Fragments of self settled, not whole yet, but closer. The therapist's office smelled of chamomile tea and soft leather, the kind that creaked faintly under my weight as I settled into the armchair. It was a week after the movement lesson, the decision to name this pull no longer just a whisper in my mind. Dr. Ellis, Kayla's recommendation, her voice gentle over the phone, sat across from me, notebook balanced on her knee, her gaze steady but unpressuring. "Tell me what brought you here," she said. The words an invitation, not a demand. I shifted, the fabric of my slim pants brushing my thighs, a subtle echo of the center's sway. My throat tightened, words forming haltingly. The show, the dresses cling, the way the spotlight had dissolved something heavy inside. It felt like uncovering. Not a phase, but a truth. Trans, maybe? I don't know the edges yet. She nodded, her pen scratching softly, exploring gently. Questions about the flutter in my chest, the unease with old clothes, the luminous pull in the mirror. No labels forced, just space to breathe the feelings into shape. By session's end, my hands unclenched, the air lighter, as if naming it braided the fragments tighter. It wasn't resolution, but a path, fluid and unfolding. Home became my quiet laboratory after that. Experiments expanded, no longer stolen moments, but full days woven into routine. One Saturday, sunlight slanting through the kitchen window, I laid out the dress, stockings, the wig's curls spilling over the chair. Foundation first, cool dots blending into even coverage. Eyeliner pulling my gaze upward with a steady hand now. The lipstick stained bold, waxy on my tongue as I pressed lips together, testing a smile. I slipped into the full outfit, the stockings whispering up my legs, nylon hugging calves and thighs in that weightless hold, the dress zipping taut, sequins catching the light as it settled around my hips, reshaping lines with soft insistence. Heels buckled, height adding sway to my steps across the living room rug. No audience, just the mirror's reflection, luminous and less foreign. I talked to it then, voice softening in practice, higher pitch at first, tentative, then settling into a lilt that felt natural, words flowing without strain. "This is me," I murmured, hips shifting in a gentle arc, the fabric moving fluidly. Hours passed, cooking lunch, the blouse's sleeves brushing arms as I stirred, the motion freer, unburdened. Evenings stretched the same, full outfits for reading, voice softening in phone calls to Kayla, her laughter affirming the shift. The old self's heaviness faded, replaced by this lighter weave. Cravings met in private rhythm. That's when Jordan entered the narrative. My partner of 2 years, the quiet graphic designer who'd been away on a project trip during the show. He returned that Sunday, keys jingling in the lock as I lounged in jeans and a soft sweater, the dress hidden in the closet. Dinner simmered on the stove, pasta sauce bubbling, the air rich with garlic and basil. We sat at the table, plates steaming, his fork pausing mid-air as I traced the hem of my sleeve. "Something's different," he said, eyes searching mine over candlelight. "Lighter. Spill." The words tumbled then, the charity night, the sway that stuck, the therapy naming trans curiosity. My stomach turned to static, waiting for recoil. But he reached across, hand warm on mine. "I've seen glimpses. The way you've moved lately. Softer. If this is you emerging, I'm in. Supportive, all the way." His empathy braided with mine. No shock, just quiet discovery. We talked late, his questions gentle, exploring the fluid edges together. That night he helped with the wig, fingers careful in the curls, his nod in the mirror affirming, "You look right." Emboldened, I took a public step, A low-key outing to the corner cafe, dressed subtly, blouse tucked into a flowing skirt, low heels clicking on sidewalk cracks. Makeup light, but present. The air felt thicker outside, pedestrians brushing past, but I held my chin steady, sway natural in the stride. Affirming nods came first, a barista's warm, "Love the skirt," her smile genuine as she handed over coffee. Strangers glanced, some ignoring entirely, others with quick curiosity that faded. No stares lingered like Mrs. Ellis's side-eye, just the world's hum, my reflection in shop windows luminous, unapologetic. The flutter eased to curiosity, steps freer under the sun. Culmination came a month later. Return to the center, not as volunteer, but self. Full outfit for an open mic night, authentic under the lights. The dress clung familiarly, heels steady, voice lilted in introductions. The routine flowed, gestures mine, the audience's cheers roaring true, no awkward blends. Kayla hugged me post-bow, Mia's nod proud. Emotional payoff hit then, buried truth surfacing like breath after submersion. Life fluid now, no heavy shapelessness, just this luminous weave, enduring. The spotlight faded, but the inner light endured, steady and warm against the night's quiet. If this resonated, subscribe for more stories of quiet discoveries. Turn on notifications to join the journey.